Hi there, in this video you're going to learn how to select an appropriate display. Your objectives for today are to select an appropriate display when organizing data. When deciding what type of display to use, ask these three questions. What type of information is given? What do you want the display to show? And how will the display be analyzed? These are the different types of displays, and this is just an explanation as to when they're best used. So, if you are showing the number of items in specific categories, a bar graph would be the best. If you are showing measures of variation for a set of data, mean, median, mode, etc., or using large sets or have large sets of data, a box plot would be great. Comparing parts of the data to the whole, right? Typically, when you're talking about percents, circle graphs are great for that. Comparing two sets of categorical data, like boys versus girls, that would be good for a double bar graph. A histogram is used to show frequency of data divided into equal intervals. So intervals, so time intervals. So in 1 to 10 days and 11 to 20 days, something like that. A line graph is to show change over a period of time. A line plot is to show frequency of data with a number line. So line graph is always used with time. Line plot is mostly frequency. Histogram is your intervals. Double bar graph compare two sets of data in categories. Okay, circle graph, part to whole. Box plot, mean, median, mode, etc. And then bar graph, number of specific items in specific categories. All right, so this right here is an example of a double bar graph. If you notice, girls are yellow, boys are red. Okay, you have four categories, right? And you have two sets of data that you're comparing. So this is why a double bar graph would be best. This is the difference between a bar graph and a histogram. Okay, so a bar graph is something like this, where you have USA, India, UK, New Zealand, Japan, okay, and then maybe the average income per week or something, okay, so from 0, 100, 200. All right, notice how there's gaps in between the bars. Now here, a histogram, you have number ranges down here, so from 100 to 150, then you have 150 to 200. So let's say somebody falls into the category of being able to read 100 words to 150 words per minute. Those people fall in this category. People who can read 150 words to 200 words per minute, they're going to fit in this category. People who can read 200 to 250 words will fall into this category. Okay, that's the difference between a bar graph and a histogram. A lot of kids have problems differentiating. And this is an example of a circle graph. So if you notice, this is similar to like your summer project. Maybe what did you do all summer? 27% of the summer you went swimming, 30% you played soccer. Okay, so you can see the part in comparison to the whole thing. A line graph versus a line plot. This is an example of a line graph. So it's over time, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And the degrees, if you notice, the degrees increase in New York City. And versus a line plot. So they call this a line plot because you line them up, right? You line up either your X's or whatever you want, right? So that's your line plot. Now that we know examples, okay, let's try to select the appropriate displays. So select an appropriate display to show the number of boys of different age ranges that participate in athletics. So since the display will show an interval, a histogram would be an appropriate display. So in case you were still confused, it says different age ranges. Ranges is what tells you intervals, okay? So you have kids that are between 5 and 9 years old, okay? Kids that are between 10 and 14 years old, kids that are between 15 and 19 years old. So because of this different age ranges, this is why I would choose a histogram. Select an appropriate display for the percent of students in each grade at a middle school. So we're talking about percent here, right? So we're comparing part to whole, comparing parts of the data to the whole. So for this, I would probably choose the circle graph. Okay, so concluding thoughts. When deciding what type of display you use, ask these 3 questions. 1, what type of info is given? 2, what do you want the display to show? And 3, how will the display be analyzed? Okay, honestly, I would just jot all these displays down and just take a brief note about when is best to use them. And use this chart whenever you're doing your questions or trying to figure out your appropriate display. All right. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned how to select the appropriate display.